Hey guys, it's Kimber and welcome back to my channel where I talk about living, working, and traveling here in Japan. I've noticed that there's been a huge influx of tourists recently. What would be better than to know a couple of simple phrases to help you on your trip here in Japan? Today we'll be diving into some super useful Japanese phrases to make it smoother and more enjoyable. Whether you're exploring the bustling streets of Tokyo or the serene temples in Kyoto, these simple phrases will come in handy. Let's go. First things first, let's start with some basic greetings and polite expressions in Japanese. Knowing these phrases just lets people in Japan know that you're interested and you respect the culture. These are super simple, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about these phrases. Ohayo gozaimasu, konnichiwa, konbanwa, arigato or arigato gozaimasu, and sumimasen. Out of all of these phrases, in my opinion, sumimasen is the most useful phrase and probably the one that you will use most often. It's very helpful in occasions such as asking for help at a restaurant. When you want the waiter's attention, you're going to raise your hand and say sumimasen. That way they know that you want to order or you want something extra, or maybe you just want to ask for the bill. Also, if you're on a very crowded train and you're in the very middle of the car and it's your stop and there's so many people, you can just say sumimasen, sumimasen, sumimasen. That will help people understand, like, oh, excuse me, I'm trying to get through here, excuse me, like this. And then if you make a mistake or a simple accident, like running into someone while you're walking and you pass by them and you gently just brush them, you can just turn back and say, oh, sumimasen, excuse me, I wasn't watching where I was walking. So I think out of all these phrases, definitely remember sumimasen. But overall, all these simple phrases can go a long way in showing respect and politeness. Don't be shy to use them. Now let's talk about navigating and asking for directions. Japan's transportation system is amazing, but it can oftentimes be overwhelming, especially if you're going to be visiting bigger cities like Tokyo and Osaka. One simple phrase that you can use in many different contexts is blank wa doko desu ka? If you want to know where the station is, you can say eki wa doko desu ka? If you want to know where a toilet is, you can say toire wa doko desu ka? If you want to know where anything is, learn the Japanese word for the actual physical thing and then use the phrase wa doko desu ka? Then one bonus that I would like to add that I found to be super helpful is a phrase, and it goes like this: machigaimashita. This means I made a mistake. So, for example, if I was at the train station and I go into the wrong gate, the only way that you can get out is if you go to the station master and tell him your situation. But if you don't have the words to do that, the best way that you can express what happened is by saying machigaimashita. Oops, I made a mistake, and then show him on your phone or tell him where the place is that you want to go. They'll likely understand and they'll be able to get you back out and on your way to the correct location. Knowing how to ask for directions can save you a lot of time and stress. And remember, people in Japan are generally very helpful to tourists, so don't be afraid to ask. One of the best parts of traveling is trying local cuisine, and Japan has amazing food. Here are some phrases to help you order food and drinks when visiting. If you get to a place that looks interesting but you can't see their menu outside, you can use this phrase, menu o misete kudasai. This just means, could you show me a menu, please? Then when you're in the actual restaurant, they're going to have menus that are either in Japanese or in English or sometimes both. But let's say you're in a situation where it's only in Japanese and you can't read kanji. You can always just look at the pictures and point to something that you want. For example, you could just say kore kudasai, kore kudasai, this please. So you can point to, you can say kore, this. However, if you do know the name of the thing that you are ordering, you can also use that exact same sentence, but replace kore with the thing that you want. Mizu kudasai, melon soda kudasai, biru kudasai. If you're really feeling risky, you could even use Japanese counters. I'll go up to about 3. You would think in Japanese, 1 is 1, 2 is 2, and 3 is 3. For example, 1, 2, 3, ichi, ni, san. But when you're ordering different things or when you're talking about different things, each thing has a different counter. So for things like food, you would say hitotsu for 1, futatsu for 2, and mitsu for 3. So let's say you want 2 waters, you would say mizu futatsu kudasai, which means 2 waters, please. As I said before, when you're in a sit-down situation eating at maybe an izakaya or a restaurant where there are waiters and waitresses, you're going to use that little phrase, sumimasen, to get the waiter's attention. If you want to say, the bill please, then you would say, okaike onegaishimasu. All in all, these are many phrases just to order food. Just keep in mind, you can use the pictures, you can use your fingers, you can use gestures. Things like this will help you go very far. Word of advice, if you are terrified of ordering in Japanese, I recommend you stay away from ramen shops unless they are self-serve. Those are much easier to get by. But if you do go to ramen, Godspeed. And lastly, these are phrases that you can use when shopping, especially in markets, but they're also helpful in konbini stores, coffee chains, and fast food restaurants. Whatever it is that you're buying, here's where it gets a little bit tricky at the register. There's a couple of different phrases that you're probably going to want to know. First, let's learn some words. Credit card in Japanese is kureji kado. Point card in Japanese is pointo kado. Plastic bag is reji bukuro. And a bag is fukuro. There's actually so many words for bag in Japanese. Like, I get confused all the time. When you go to the register to check something out, listening at this point is key because they're going to ask you a bunch of different questions and they're going to be using really formal language when speaking to you because you are the customer. And in this situation, you're going to listen for the key words. They're going to say something like, pointo kado, Japanese. Then you can either say, hai or nai. Then they're probably going to ask you a really long sentence again, and it's probably going to be something like reji bukuro, Japanese. A lot of people would say you should respond by saying daijoubu desu, but this could be, yeah, it's fine, I'll take a bag, or no, I'm okay, I don't need a bag. What I've learned from my experience in Japan is a simple phrase that I think works all the time. This phrase is irimasen. This means I don't need it. If they ask you for a bag, you can just simply say irimasen. Then lastly, if you are taking something away from maybe like a coffee shop or a fast food restaurant, you're either going to decide if you're eating in or you're eating out. If you're eating in, you're going to say tennai. And if you're eating out, you're going to say mochikairi. Tennai means for here and mochikairi means for takeout. But don't worry if you don't really know how to use these phrases. A lot of Japanese people also use takeout. So if you want to take something to go, you can just say takeout. And there you have it. Those are all of the basic phrases I think you should know before going on your trip to Japan. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!